Introducing Battlefield Labs. I've only seen the little like 10-second snippets of this on X, so I've not actually seen the full like 5-minute thing that they've done. I don't really know what I'm in for, but my understanding is this is going to give us the first sneak peek at the new Battlefield, which I'm here to see. My stance on this going in is that I really hope that Battlefield gets back on the horse and is competitive again. Because the worst thing for Call of Duty, for just FPS fans, frankly, is to have only one game that's really filling that void, that's competing. It's just bad. And you see it with Call of Duty, just like actively getting worse and worse and worse as the years go by. And so if there were a Battlefield, we were hoping maybe X Defiant could offer some competition, but of course that's shutting down, I believe in June. It's winding down already. But if there's competition, at least then they can hold each other to account and they can counter each other. And then they have to be like, oh, did you see what Battlefield did with destructible environments? Ooh, Call of Duty needs to do that now too to be competitive. Oh, but did you see Call of Duty's movement? Okay, we need something like that in Battlefield. So competition is great, and I hope that they actually are competitive. But the last Battlefield was like so hilariously underbaked. I have zero confidence in EA and Battlefield in general. At this point, it's going to take a lot to convince me that they've figured it out. Yeah, the finals is also a good example. I'm not sure if the finals is appealing to the exact same group as like Call of Duty fans, because it's more extraction based, but that is a good competitor that has some interesting stuff. It's unlisted now. It is showing unlisted. I don't know if it always was or not, but you're right. It's interesting that it's unlisted. I don't know why, but anyway. I got it from a link through X, so I didn't find it on recommended or anything. But all of this to say, go into this with a healthy dose of skepticism and cautious optimism, even if what you see looks really good, because Battlefield 2042 looked like kind of good in some of the previews and some of the trailers and stuff, and then it ended up being like so rushed and broken that like it just didn't work. They didn't have like a scoreboard for the first handful of weeks. Like it's hilariously underbaked and like not prepared for launch. So always proceed with caution with this stuff. Yeah, DICE is always good at marketing, for better or worse. That's true. I mean, they're typically pretty good at it. But this Battlefield video we're about to watch represents 4 studios across the globe, one brand new visionary team, Battlefield Studios, this global united front combining 20 years of Battlefield experience with the best emerging talent in our industry, is hard at work to shape the future of our franchise, which they need. I mean, if they can figure out Battlefield, there's a lot of hungry FPS players who would jump into it, because COD is already like, people are getting really burnt out on it. So it's time for a new challenger. New. You know, Battlefield's been around, but it's time for them to come in and actually be competitive. So let's see.
Defending that last point in breakthrough.
You and your squad going together, trying to accomplish something.
Helicopter crashes into the building next to you, and all of a sudden the roof drops on your head.
The vehicle play is the destruction. You've got tanks, you've got jets.
You get a bit sweaty in your palms.
That's full, all-out military experience. It's just unlike any other game I've played.
This franchise comes with a long history, spanning over 20 years now. But the question is, how do we continue to build on that and push Battlefield to the next level?
I have an idea. And hear me out, because I'm just spitballing, okay? Because I'm throwing this out, and I just want you to like consider it, because it could work. What if we finished the game and then sold it to people? It could work. It might just work. I'm sorry, I'm being sassy.
I've been playing Battlefield since long before I joined the team. When 1942 first came out, the amount of fun that we all...
Oh, when I heard 1942, I thought he was saying, I've been working on Battlefield for a long time, since 1942. I was like, Jesus, I didn't even know. That's
down
crazy.
And have with it is just, you know, still like a fond memory. So in joining the Battlefield team, it was about the opportunity to give that team that space to do something just more amazing even than they've done in the past.
We set out with this ambitious idea of creating this new Battlefield universe. And to make that vision a reality,
we had to think big.
Think big. Just to point this out, because this is always cool. Let me show you. So you've probably heard of playtests, right? We've all heard of playtests. I've participated in a handful. Some preview events take place in the pretest buildings within studios. But basically what you're seeing here is one of these playtest areas. So what they do for these games is at the studio, they have rooms set aside like this, where it's just PCs. And then they have the TVs above them that, you know, the team can walk around and see. So they'll bring in players or maybe members of other studios, whatever, or sometimes content creators or streamers, whatever. And they start playing the game, and then the team walks around behind them and sits on these couches and takes notes while watching them play through these screens. And then afterwards, they move everybody into these back rooms and they debrief, and everybody shares their notes on what they liked, didn't like, and all that. But it's rooms like these where these games actually, most of the change happens, because the devs, like, they go into a conference room, they decide what they're doing, they build it out, but it's only in these rooms where they get the feedback to actually change stuff. So these types of rooms are like crucial for these types of games.
With this ambitious idea of creating this new Battlefield universe, and to make that vision a reality, we had to think big.
Each of our 4 studios comes with its own culture and expertise into what we call Battlefield Studios.
One team that spans across the globe and combines 20 years of franchise experience with emerging talent.
DICE has such a rich history with Battlefield. We've been working on it for years and years. But we also want to do something bigger and better than we've ever done before. And you can't do that with one studio.
DICE is responsible for the multiplayer part of the game, which incorporates things like destruction systems, class play, squad play, vehicles, gadgets, all of those kind of underlying systems that drive the experience.
Montreal.
So here at Motive, we're working on multiplayer maps, and we're also working on single-player mission contents.
We're driving a cinematic experience to the level that's never been done on Battlefield before.
Ripple Effects has a long history of working on the Battlefield franchise.
We're working on an experience that is really going to open Battlefield up to a whole group of new players, but really still exciting that core audience that has made this franchise so successful.
Criterion have been supporting Battlefield for a decade now, and now we're going to bring that to the table as a fully fledged kind of partner in the Battlefield Studios.
Mainly, we've been focused on the single-player experience. So the campaign is back for Battlefield.
We have never before had this many teams and talents dedicated to the development of Battlefield. And we have a plan to create a new, exciting future for the franchise, alongside our players.
This game has so much potential. So I think it's about giving the team this time to really hone their craft.
We have to prototype, play test, get feedback,
And then repeat that loop.
Over and over and over again. We have to find gameplay that really resonates with the players and then build on that.
What's interesting is the doubling down on time. That seems to be the theme, is give them time to own their craft. Reiterate. We prototype, then we play test, and then we get their feedback, and then we prototype and build it. And it's about that loop and going back and back and back, which is interesting because that's how that's the opposite of what happened with Battlefield 2042, where they were rushed and they had to get this thing out because EA didn't listen to them and tried to rush them. And, you know, hopefully this is the chance where they actually do get to iterate and refine and put something out that everybody connects with. But again, like, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, because we've seen these promises before. You just never know until the game actually comes out. But if they're willing to do actual like public play tests and betas and stuff, that can go a long way, and that can be really, really helpful. Super Sagittarius, thank you for gifting a membership to the community on YouTube. Thank you for that. And then also Steel Bones, thank you for the 10. Man, I wish this talk about taking I can't read today, my goodness. Man, I wish this talk about taking Battlefield to the next level didn't scare me, but the last decade of taking it to the next level since Battlefield 4 has really shown that they can't. Be honestly. Fair point. Fair point.
Battlefield Labs is our new development initiative where players will get to test specific focus areas in the game.
So they're creating a platform basically to publicly play test elements of the game so that they can get public feedback and refine to where it needs to be. Interesting. I'm pretty sure that guy was the GM of COD. Yeah, so to clarify, a lot of these people they're showing, a lot of the people that they've put in charge of Battlefield, a lot of these guys are former heads or upper level people that have either worked on Battlefield before, the successful ones, or they are former leads in like Call of Duty, which again shows that they're trying to tap into that same market. I am optimistic. Long-term play testing for live service games, you know, it certainly can work. You're already seeing other studios do it, like Bungie with Marathon. They started bringing people and like content creators to the studio back in like August, I think it was, or September, something like that. But last year they were already bringing people to play test Marathon beforehand. And it was interesting. It was a lot of like Tarkov content creators and streamers, which wasn't that shocking. But there were some other surprising content creators that didn't really play it. Like I think they brought some Apex Legends players out to play test it, which was really interesting. And they were allowed to say that they were play testing it, but they weren't allowed to, of course, say anything else about it. But it was really interesting that they were bringing people out that early. But this is another one of those steps, you know, I think this is the move for the industry more broadly with these live service games, is they're like, put it in front of players early so we don't get a Concord situation. Like single player games, you can have the big splash exciting trailer, the game's out in 6 months, get excited, and then you release it and boom, you're good. That can work, but with live service, if it doesn't connect with people, your next like 5-year plan is shattered. So you gotta have a better finger on the pulse of what gamers actually want before you spend a decade working on it.
We've done similar things in the past, but this is a whole nother level. We're doing it before we launch the game, and we're doing it with so much more content.
It's an exciting way for us to interact with our audience before things go live and make sure that what we have is really fun and polished.
And we have to test everything, combat to destruction to maps and modes.
We're going to test all the new features that we're putting out, and we're going to test hardware like weapons, vehicles, and gadgets.
We can try different things, but also validate what players are expecting from Battlefield.
That feedback is crucial in helping us know what to prioritize, what needs improvement, and what feels like a true Battlefield experience.
We're pre-alpha, so now is the time to test all the experiences our teams have been building for our upcoming launch and beyond. Join our Discord where you can learn more about our new closed testing environment. We call it Battlefield Labs. Let's build Battlefield together.
Holy glitch transitions, Batman. My goodness. I love to see destructible environments. I just love that. And it's, I would much rather have a building that can be torn apart than better ray traced reflections, frankly, personally. Like, I don't care that much about ray tracing if I can have destructible environments instead. Give me that Red Faction treatment. Look at this. So the rocket, building standing, totally fine. The rocket goes in and it breaks apart into all these different pieces, and then presumably the entire thing can fall apart from there. Tasty. Delicious. Lots of particle effects. It's always tough to guesstimate, though, with Battlefield, how it's going to run, though. Because you just never know if it's going to be like, yeah, it looks beautiful in a trailer, but then you're playing it, and it's really laggy and like stuttery. So as long as they can polish it up, I'm here for it. It's definitely pre-alpha, but it looks interesting. I hope that they've been cooking, because again, they need competition. They really do. Call of Duty, that is. Like, we need competition in the industry. But we just have not had it for years at this point. And then the only other competition is like freaking I guess Apex is up there, and Apex is going hard, but even Apex is kind of crapping the bed right now. And you have other games like, you know, Hunt Showdown, you have Tarkov, but even those, like Tarkov is basically predatory. Hunt is more niche, I think. Does have Post Malone in it. Apparently he's in a new freaking season or whatever. You have Delta Force, that's pretty solid. I like Delta Force, but Delta Force definitely is not the size of like Battlefield when it launches. So I hope it's good. It's very wordy and it's not clear when we can expect to like actually get the game, but we'll see. I mean, this is kind of a two-pronged thing, because on the one hand, you get player feedback early so you can make the game that they actually want. Two, you also get free advertising, because those same people are going to go in there and play the game a little bit, be like, assuming it's good, ooh, I want to play more. And then they check it out more and they delve into it more. And that can hopefully and ideally help you just stop wasting time. But we'll keep an eye on it. I'm optimistic that they can figure it out, but I mean, we'll see. Take it with a grain of salt. He took my thing.